I'm gonna just keep it a buck. A lot of cisgender women are just unhappy.
I'm just gonna keep it a buck and tell you a lot of trans women are unhappy. Your whole video is about being unhappy.
He's unbothered.
What's up, everybody? Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. So this video is by popular demand. I got tagged in it a couple of times on Instagram because people wanted me to check it out. So I went to TikTok to actually see the creator and see what she was talking about. The creator is a person by the name of Tay is Bay. Definitely do not send any hate her way. I'm just making this video because I think she does in some ways make some good points, but I think her anger is very much misplaced and misdirected. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm just kind of tired. Well, not kinda. I'm actually very tired of real women getting attacked, which is what's happening, just for making a simple request of the LGBT, more specifically the T community, so transgender community. And I also think that at the end of the video, she makes the real point that she should be making all along. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be breaking it up a little bit as we go through, but I think it's an important conversation to have. I hope you guys will indulge me. Let's get started.
I'm gonna just keep it a buck. A lot of cisgender women are just unhappy. Let's use the term that they love. A lot of real women are really unhappy.
So I know I'm stopping it kind of soon, but trans women trying to say that real women are real unhappy and completely ignoring the fact that trans women have a new complaint about everything. Who will and won't date them, whether or not they can be in sports, whether or not kids can start transitioning, whether or not they're allowed into the women's bathroom, regardless of how they look or how uncomfortable women are with men or people that still look like men and also are biologically men in women's bathrooms in particular and in women's spaces in general. So to me, it's like you have a lot of nerve trying to make it seem like real women have just taken up this mantle out of nowhere. Real women have only made a few very small requests, and to me, they're not at all unreasonable. I think that real women have a right to say, this is the way I want to be addressed, because it's what I've always been, and it's gone with a lot of extra bullshit that I had to deal with, my mother had to deal with, my mother's mother had to deal with, and for generations, being women has been a road full of bullshit. So to just say, I want my title free and clear. I don't want any prefixes. I just want to be what I am. Now, if you want to be addressed as a trans woman, but then a real woman says that she doesn't want to be addressed as a cis woman, that to me is the same as you saying you don't want to be addressed as a man. Even though you are in fact male, which as far as society goes would make you a man, then you can't get mad at real women for just saying, just go ahead and call me a real woman, because they are in fact real women. Even real women to me is a compromise. Trans women should just be trans women and women should just be women, in my opinion. I don't see anything wrong with that, and if a woman wants that, I think we should all just respect that, especially trans women, because you are visitors in the space of being women. Not to be rude, not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but you are visitors in the space of being women.
A lot of real women are really unhappy. A lot of real women are really insecure. And a lot of real women are really bothered that trans women really look better than they really do.
Okay, this is a very petty place to go when you start going with the trans women look better than real women. No, you don't. I'm not trying to make it seem like this person is not what would be considered attractive, especially for a trans woman. I'm not going to say that her look is off. From what I can see, she's a decent looking trans woman, but you're still a trans woman. So no matter how hard you try or what it is you do to yourself, you're still just an imitation of what a real woman is. So to come for real women in the way that you're trying to come for real women and be like, you're just mad because trans women look better than you, the truth is most trans women do not look better than real women. Even at their best, there's still features that can be clocked, which if you guys don't know, the old school term clocked just means you can tell that a person was born male. Even this one here, you can see that she has the big shoulders. I'm not trying to clown, I'm not trying to read, but I'm just saying you're turning the argument into something that it doesn't need to be. You're further insulting women, which does nothing to move the conversation forward, and you're also just not speaking in facts.
Since they really want this real word, you can have it. Girl, you can have it. Girl, it's not my fault that you mistaken my happiness and my femininity as a challenge. Sweetie, when I was identifying how feminine I was and how far I wanted to go and how I wanted my inside to match my outside had nothing to do with you. Okay? Because it seems like y'all only have so much to say when it comes to competition.
Well, if we're talking about competition when it comes to women's sports, let's say, then yeah, I can see why women have a problem with competition. But when it comes to competition as far as looks go, I really don't know where these people get this, because I don't hear a lot of real women talking about the fact that they can't live up to the standard that trans women are setting when it comes to looks. Maybe that's something that this particular person is dealing with, but in general, that's not at all the conversation. This person really is trying to turn the conversation into something that it is not and has not really ever been.
It really seems like y'all only have so much to say when it comes to tearing somebody else down. Girl, don't nobody want to be you.
You?
Girl, don't nobody want to be you. Let's be clear, Miss Thing. A lot of you don't want to be you. Bitch, I speak very frequently and openly about my about the type of I have, about the type of men that I'm attracted to. Girl, don't nobody want to be you. Y'all are just mad that people are really out here moving and happy, and y'all are really mad that people are being mistaken for you and getting more respect than you do.
Let me stop you again, because you're making it seem like real women are upset because you're getting more respect as a trans woman than a real woman gets, but then at the same time, you guys are always complaining about the things that I listed earlier, like being in women's spaces. So is it really real women that are doing all the complaining? Because I really do feel in my heart of hearts, and correct me if I'm wrong, that trans women have the market cornered when it comes to complaining.
That has nothing to do with us. That is not a reason why you should be disrespecting us and trying to make it a big thing. Girl, don't nobody want no period.
The arrogance for cis women to believe that they own periods, that they own womanhood. You don't.
Don't nobody want no motherfucking kids, because a lot of you hoes don't want no kids. A lot of y'all only having these motherfucking kids to keep a man around.
I don't know what year that's coming from, because in 2023, I don't know a lot of women that are trying to have children just to keep men around. Now, if you're talking about possibly women that are trying to keep professional athletes, which would be a very small segment of the female population, maybe, because you do know there are people trying to trap ballers and rappers. That's not a big secret. But at the same time, I don't really know a lot of women that are doing that right now. So again, I think you're just kind of trying to make the conversation into something that you want it to be rather than something it is.
A lot of y'all only having motherfucking kids because you're trying to make your mom and daddy happy. A lot of y'all are married or not even married, but the ones that are getting married are motherfucking married to a man that don't respect you, probably beat you, don't give you the compliment, don't treat you like the real woman that you are. So why are you really mad at us? You're not really mad at trans women for considering ourselves women. You're mad because you don't really get respected as the woman that you really were born to be real in.
Again, I'm going to stop you because this is a huge problem in the trans community, and I think it's something that needs to be addressed, and I think a lot more trans women would be able to live happier lives if they really were able to have the men that are attracted to trans women be able to feel like they could be open about the fact that they are attracted to trans women, because that is kind of a big thing in the trans community. As far as violence in relationships towards trans women, those numbers are pretty insane, and in a lot of cases when they talk about the mortality rate with trans people, which I'm trying to choose my words for YouTube, that in a lot of cases turns out to be people that they have been in relationships, not wanting people to find out that they had a sexual relationship with a trans woman, and then that turns into some sort of violence. So again, I don't think this should be directed at real women.
Girl, stop taking all your frustrations and your disrespect down on other people. That has nothing to do with us.
Well, it kind of does have something to do with you, and I'm going to explain why. If you've already been getting disrespected for generations as real women, and then a group of males that identify as women now doesn't even want to let you have the title of woman that you have fought for respect in, and still deal with discrimination within the confines of that gender and the way that being female works out, then yeah, you are kind of dogpiling onto women and adding even more to what they're already dealing with. So it kind of does have something to do with you, even though you're trying to be like, that don't have nothing to do with us. It kind of does. Learn how to make an argument.
Anybody trying to take your place? Girl, the only reason why you feel some type of way is because we look like something.
She goes back to looks, and I don't think that that should be the driving force in this conversation, whether she's trying to help trans people or real women or both, or make it so they can work as combined forces. It's just not a good way to go at it, and it just feels like she had a very particular argument with either a person or a particular group of people online, and she decided she was going to make this the narrative for all real women.
Girl, but at the end of the day, none of us are respected. And I tell y'all all the time, as a trans woman, if I would have known, well, I would still be a woman, but if I would have known the things that the difference between being a man and a woman, girl, it sucks being a woman.
So now we're getting somewhere. So if you admit that it sucks being a woman, then why not try to be sympathetic towards real women and concentrate on the parts that you can agree on and say, hey, this is where I relate to you. This is where I can sympathize. This is where I can empathize. And yeah, it is kind of bullshit that you go through this. And maybe I can use my voice to help all of us in a sense, because since people assume that I'm a woman or project onto me what they would project onto a real woman, in that way I can relate. And then maybe you could make some friends rather than alienating real women. Just a suggestion. I know nobody's really looking for real answers in this, especially on the trans side, because if it weren't for victim mentality, the trans community would be absolutely nowhere at this point, and their arguments would completely dry up.
Girl, do you think a person will really transition to still live a sucky life? People don't respect women. And when you are sexy, bitch, they only look at you as a sex object. Bitch, they fuck y'all ugly ass. Girl, you not mad at how men look at us, because men fuck anything.
This has been a thing in the trans community for a long time, so I'm going to call this out, because I have some very beautiful trans friends that I often refer to on my videos that used to always complain that when we would go to the bars together or when they would be doing their calls and stuff, they'd always be like, girl, it's always going to be the hardest thing in the bar that everybody goes to. And maybe that's because they're easy, or maybe it's because when a man is attracted to trans women, he still wants the element of man there, even though he doesn't want to admit that. Maybe that's it, because in a lot of cases, I would see it for myself, that it was always the girls that were less refined and not as convincing in their look that would end up getting the guys first. And then my beautiful friends would definitely get men, and there would be men that were definitely attracted to them, but in a lot of cases, they would get guys that completely wanted to still pretend to be straight. So that's where you'd run into where they'd be a secret, or even if they lived with them, it would be a secret that they were trans. They wouldn't want their friends to know that they were actually dating a trans woman. That's something that I think she could address if she really was trying to be a part of a solution and not just trying to come for women.
Men are out here fucking children and animals. So girl, let's stop making it about what men like or what who trying to fool who. Girl, niggas don't give a fuck. We don't have to fool no motherfucking body. I'm sure some of y'all real women have seen men fuck other real women and be like, ew. We feel the same way. Girl, when I see men that talk to me and I see their baby mamas and their wives and stuff, I be like, ooh, like how you go from that to this? Like, girl, no, you got some money.
Her man voice came out right there.
The caliber of women that y'all are loser. And you bitches will never be shit because you don't care to be shit. You always worried about the wrong thing. You're so worried about what a man like before you fucking care about what your children like. You worried about what a man will approve before you will realize what your children approve.
There's a lot of people that are dealing with self-esteem issues like that. That's 100% true, but that's across the board. Gay men, straight women, trans women. A lot of people are so desperate for love that they will put up with a lot of stuff that they maybe shouldn't have around their kids, or aren't really thinking about their kids, or aren't really thinking about their families, or the way this person would affect even their future or their career. That's something I've dealt with myself. I think that's part of the human experience right now. It's unfortunate, and I guess it's a good thing that she brought it up. But again, to make it seem like that is exclusive to real women is not fair to the reality of the situation.
You so worried about pleasing a man before you worried about pleasing yourself, girl. Your battle is not with us, sweetheart. The issue is not between us, sweetheart. And then you have people in my comments like, oh, you need to change your voice. No, I don't. This is my voice. And this is how you should know I don't have to fool nobody. I can go get my Adam's apple shave for $1,100. It has never been a big thing of me because I am that comfortable with who I am. I don't need to go get a voice feminizer because bitch, I'm comfortable in who I am. I never had a problem with my voice. I never had a problem with my fucking Adam's apple. I never had a problem with my shoulders.
Told you guys, shoulders.
Bitch, I had an issue with how I identified. And then when I identified how I choose to identify and how I felt, now you bitches is mad. When a person is in their truth, you hoes still mad.
The way you're coming at real women, I don't think you're 100% in your truth. I think you fooled yourself into believing that just because you are presenting as what you feel like on the inside, that equates to living in your truth. But I don't think that is 100% the situation.
Some of these hoes will get their chopped off and their face pulled down just to be feminine and still unhappy, still clockable.
Well, see, now is where I feel like she's getting down to the meat and potatoes of it. Okay. You know I had to slip one in. I've been too serious on this one. But I swear I need to grow up. But it really is where she's starting to talk what it really is. There are a lot of trans women that have gone out of their way to appear more feminine, having their Adam's apple shaved down, having their hairline snatched is what we used to call it. Because, you know, women have lower hairlines, smaller foreheads, traditionally. I'm not saying all women, Rihanna. But, okay, I'm cutting up towards the end. I'm not meaning to, I'm just stupid. I kept it together long enough. But there have been those cases, a lot of them, especially back in my generation, where trans women really were going out of their way to have a completely feminine appearance, and then it still wasn't leading to happiness. Because like I said earlier, whether or not they want to admit it, men that are attracted to trans women, which I really do consider to be their own category, I don't consider them to be just 100% gay. I really do consider them to be their own category. When I was younger, they used to call them tranny chasers. I don't know what the proper terminology would be for it now. I've heard some people have shortened it to just chasers, but when I was younger, in my generation, they used to call them tranny chasers, and they would want to date all the trans women. They would jump from one to the next. In some cases, they were really attractive men, so trans women would be fighting over these men because they'd be like, you took my boyfriend, and it was like, girl, that's everybody's boyfriend. But at the same time, once trans women would fully transition, as in get the bottom surgery, so a man-made vagina, at that point, a lot of the men that were attracted to trans women no longer wanted them, and they found themselves in this weird kind of purgatory, where it was like, now the men that were attracted to them because they were trans are no longer attracted because they don't have their male parts anymore, which is something that they were attracted to, and the men that want to be with women want real women and don't want the man-made vagina, which if you've ever seen what the man-made vagina looks like, you would know that even at its best and when it's done by the best surgeons, it still doesn't look exactly like it's supposed to look. And there are all the problems with cleaning it, making sure it stays dilated. There's a lot of problems, and I'm not trying to be rude, and I'm not clowning. I knew trans women when I was younger. None of them were my close friends, but I was friends with trans women that had the bottom surgery, and they did talk about the headaches and the problems because I was a gay boy, non-threat, not trying to date them, anything like that. And so they would speak freely around me to my good friends, and it wasn't the cure-all that they thought it was going to be once the surgery was complete.
You're not gonna ever be happy with society until you're happy with yourself. And once you're happy with yourself, you'll realize you'll never be happy with society because society ain't happy for you.
Now we're talking. This is something I've said before. You have to find happiness with yourself. Stop looking to everybody else for outside validation.
Stupid.
That was directed at trans women or trans activists, and you're right. They are stupid. I agree.
Pussy asshole. And I don't give a fuck how trans women represent themselves. Them hoes can't represent me. Bitch, I was her before I even knew what a trans woman was. I was her before a transition ever happened. I was her as a little boy on the playground in elementary school.
Okay, well, in 2021, you weren't her. I saw your video from 2021. I've often said, no matter how you look, I really feel like you should kind of keep your opinions to yourself for the first couple of years of being a woman, because you are new to the experience, and there's a lot that you're going to find out about the trans community. There's also a lot that you're going to find out about real women and why it is real women might feel the way that they feel, and the history theory of trans women versus real women. And I think once you have that perspective, it will really help you out. And the transformation that she's made has been amazing. Like I said, I'm not at all trying to come for this trans woman on her looks or anything superficial. I just think a person like her could be a real service to trans women and real women alike if she just would learn to, one, make an argument that's not based on the superficial just as far as looks go, because I think that this particular topic is important enough that it does deserve to be treated seriously by both sides. But I do think that it is on trans women more to be more willing to understand real women if they want what they say they want. If your goal is to be accepted by real women and possibly be able to live harmoniously with straight or cisgender society, then I really do feel like it's on you as kind of the foreigner to learn to be a little bit more sympathetic and understanding to what it is people are saying to you. And that would be me trying to help out not only the trans community, but also in this video, I really wanted to address it, like I said, because I am tired of women getting attacked when most women have tried their best to be very welcoming of LGBT in general from the beginning. So I think the anger is misdirected, misplaced. I think the arguments could be better, but I think that if this particular trans woman keeps going the way she's going, and if she watches her stuff and pays attention to her own words, she will realize that her real argument is with trans activists. Her real bone of contention is the position that trans activists are putting her in that are making it so it seems like real women or straight society in general isn't really going for what it is she's doing. And that's not necessarily her fault, because I don't think that she right now has the perspective. So even though I think that maybe when you're just starting out in your transition, you should chill out a little bit and sit back and kind of see the way everything works before you start with the heavy opinions. Maybe after all, it is good that she did this, because later on she can watch back and she can be like, oh, maybe there were some flaws in my argument. If you know her, I don't know, the internet's big and sometimes a lot of people watch my videos. So if you know her, please do send her this video so that hopefully she watches it and maybe can take the things that I'm saying the way that they're actually meant. Either way, if you've made it this far in the video, I'm just gonna ask that you like, comment, and subscribe. Commenting really does help me on the algorithm. If you want to comment and you don't know what to comment, just put a hot dog for no particular reason. Just a good old-fashioned wiener. No hate to anybody. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. This has been Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.